Hello guys, and welcome back to another video on the JAT15 channel. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about game mechanic changes lately, the single realm matchmaker. Similar to my Turbo Strike video, we will talk about what it is and how it works, the benefits and flaws of the system, and the many improvements it needs to function properly and enable fair and balanced games for everyone. The single realm matchmaker is arguably the biggest change so far this year, as Wargaming completely overhauled the matchmaking system. However, this is actually misleading. The single realm matchmaker has only really done one thing. Let me break it down. Previously, each server had its own matchmaking pool. The issue with this setup was that if you could only play outside your server's prime time, you would mostly get bot games. You can literally see this in any of my streams from late last year. Now, as player numbers continue to decline, bot matches are becoming more common. The solution was to create a single matchmaking pool, increasing the number of players available to be matched at any time. This means that regardless of when you play, you are more likely to face real players. It definitely works in that regard. Bot matches have become rare, and nearly every game is filled with real players. However, this has also introduced several other problems and made existing ones worse. In fact, we are arguably no better off than before. These issues are becoming more frequent and more frustrating. The biggest problem is the quality of matchmaking itself. Originally, the single realm matchmaker was meant to create fairer battles with better team balance due to the larger player pool. But as we have all seen over the past few months, that is not what is happening. Matchmaking is now completely broken in the following ways: uneven distribution of ship tiers, uneven distribution of ship types, uneven distribution of premium and black ships, and uneven distribution of player skill levels. All of this results in one-sided matches about two-thirds of the time, with one team completely dominating. The amount of screenshots players have shared just proves the point even more. Many other features of the single rail matchmaker do not work either. The feature that is supposed to prioritize your own server does not appear to be functioning. As a result, players are rarely matched with others from the same region, which leads to even worse match stability. This directly connects to the other major issue: game stability. Game stability is currently in a really rough state. Players are constantly disconnecting or lagging, shells and torpedoes are not registering, bugs have increased, players are teleporting more often, AFK players are in nearly every match, and game crashes are much more common. There are also other problems like unfamiliar playstyles from other regions, and a noticeable increase in CB matches. All of this frustrates players and makes them think the game is bugged or unfair. Just like in Turbo Strike, this causes people to stop playing periodically or quit entirely. Personally, I have rage quit many times recently, mostly because of some of the worst magnetic torpedo hits you will ever see. It honestly makes me wonder why I keep playing, and usually drives me to switch to games that don't have these problems. A lot of players are asking for the single realm matchmaker to be removed, but that cannot happen. Reverting it would cause even more problems, and without it, as we saw with Turbo Strike, you would only be getting bot matches. The truth is that the single realm matchmaker is doing its job in reducing bot games and wait times. The issue is everything else about how matchmaking currently works. This new matchmaking system has exposed how broken the underlying matchmaker really is. So here's what can be done to improve it. First and most important, matchmaking must account for player skill. It should be based on average damage and win rate, not your in-game ranking. For each tier, you could assign target stats for different skill levels. For example, an above average player in tier 8 might have 60,000 average damage and a 55% win rate. The matchmaker would then aim to spread players of different skill levels across both teams. Community contributors, testers, and players should help define those target stats. Next, the system must consider ship tiers, ship types, and whether a ship is premium or black. It does not need to be a perfect one-to-one match, but games need to be far more balanced than they are now. Here is a rough example. Say there are 16 players in the pool. Start by assigning them their skill level for the tier, then assign them evenly to teams based on both their ship type and tier. For example, place one Tier 8 cruiser on each team, and put a Tier 7 battleship on one team and a Tier 7 destroyer on the other. Keep doing this until you have a balanced match. Any players left over can stay in the pool and get priority in the next game. And most importantly, make sure players are prioritized to match with others on their own server, to improve stability. This game still isn't perfect, but matchmaking will never be. But this new system would give us far more balanced, engaging, and less frustrating games. This will not fix everything, like destroyers not playing their role correctly, but we also need to be realistic. Blitz is not a huge game, and it does not have the money or capacity to make a perfect system. This fix would go a long way without being too complicated. It would also help with the different server playstyle problem, since different skill players would be more evenly split between teams. Game stability is a much harder topic, and I am no computer expert, but here are a few ideas that could help. First, really enforce that players are matched with others from the same server, mostly, if not fully, even if it means slightly longer wait times. A lot of bugs come down to sync issues, but many are also just because of old and messy game code. Over time, working through this would reduce crashes and bugs. One promising fix that I found during my research is the use of server relays. These act as middle points between players and the game servers. Adding relays could improve connectivity, especially in places like Australia, which are far from the rest of Asia. They could also help sync up the servers better across regions, reducing desync between players. Other possible solutions include warning players before a match if they are too far away from other players and therefore will have a bad connection, and giving them an option to cancel. Improving or adding, if not currently present, predictive movement software that can guess where players are going if their connection lags. At the end of the day, Wargame will have to decide what they can do with the resources they have. But right now, the game is very unstable and it is driving people away out of pure frustration. To sum it all up, the single realm matchmaker was a necessary step in reducing bot matches and making queue times shorter, especially during off-peak hours. But it came at the heavy cost of matchmaking balance and game stability. Right now, the system just doesn't deliver a good gameplay experience, and if it stays like this, more and more players will continue to leave. Fixing it won't be easy, but it's not impossible either. Implementing skill-based balancing, improving how ships are matched, and prioritizing fixing global server connections will make a huge difference. Blitz doesn't need a perfect system, but it needs a functional one. As always, this will be sent to Maddie, so hopefully the feedback makes its way through and encourages some real change. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. JAT15, out.